Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alyssa and I am a sophomore in college. I know that the freshman experience can be scary. There are a lot of different components that come in and just kind of like mess with your head and just really make you have not a great time. My freshman year I kind of found out that there were a lot of things I didn't know I was going to go through that I went through, and I've come to realize that they are actually pretty common. Despite them being common, a lot of people don't know that they're going to go through them or don't think that they're going to go through it either. But the point of this video is just to kind of put some of those things out in the open. That way more people will start expecting them and it won't come as a shock or a huge scare when they do happen. So let me stop babbling and let's just go ahead and get started. So one thing that I know a lot of people don't really think about going into their freshman year of college is their roommate. And I said this I think in my first video, that your roommate may not be your best friend. Moving into college, I was friends with my roommate. We had met a couple times before and got to know each other, and just we didn't really have like a close bond, and that's okay. Like I get that some people are best friends with their roommate, some people grew up and went to high school with their roommate that's going to be in college, and just so if you don't really like your roommate or if y'all aren't friends, it is okay. 9 times out of 10 that's what's going to happen anyway. For me, it took a while to realize that God was moving. Even though my roommate and I weren't best friends, I was able to go out of my comfort zone and go to different events and activities and that sort of thing and meet my new friends. So I live with them now. They're great. They're wonderful. It's Christmas break right now and I really miss them. But just don't freak out if your roommate's not your best friend. Like, I promise you it's not the end of the world. Y'all may hate each other and there are things that you can do to fix that, but don't think that it's the end of the world, because I promise you it's not. So the second thing that I have is the classes are a lot harder. I went into college having a 4.0, 5.0 GPA in high school. I never had to study for anything. I just kind of showed up, took the test, and did really well. Well, when I got to college, it all just kind of blew up in my face because I thought, hey, I can do the same exact thing and just like get by. That's not how it works. I just kind of learned that what I was doing wasn't going to work. And in college you actually have to learn the things that you're studying. So I had to find a study plan that worked for me, and it took a while, and so my grades started slipping. I was really scared that I was going to go from making all A's in high school to start making B's and C's, and it was really, I had to humble myself and realize that I couldn't just not try, because that just wasn't an option. So with that being said, if your grades do start to slip, like, don't freak out right away. Like, there's plenty of things you can do to help better yourself and to learn how to navigate through your first few semesters of college. Just, there's so many ways for improvement, so many things to take advantage of. Don't freak out if your grades start to slip. I promise you, your first semester you're overwhelmed, you're scared, all of this stuff, but it's just, college is something you have to get used to, and it's not just gonna fall naturally, if that makes sense. Another thing that was really hard for me was realizing that I actually did get homesick. The first few weeks all my family was at home and I was at school by myself. I wasn't close with my roommate, like I said, and I hadn't really made a whole lot of friends yet, so I was just kind of in my room a lot by myself. And I found myself like really missing being home with my family and my dogs, and just a lot of people don't talk about that. Like, they don't say that they're homesick because they want to seem cool and they want to go out and go to parties and just all this other stuff. And I mean, they may not be homesick. I mean, I don't know what's in their head, but for me at least, I kind of pretended that I wasn't when I really was. And that kind of hurt a little bit. It did. Now I've gotten involved in more stuff, so I have more to keep me busy and keep me from being by myself all the time. And I'm always in my sweet mate's room. Like, all the time. So, sorry guys. But it's okay to feel homesick. Like, don't let people tell you that your feelings are invalid, because they're not. I mean, if you're feeling homesick, talk to somebody about it, definitely. It's not a reason to feel less cool than other people or not. College is a change. Like, you're not used to being by yourself and being away from home and everything else. So, yeah. Another thing that was a really hard pill for me to swallow was that I wasn't happy a lot. Between being homesick and my grades starting to fall, I just I slipped into being very sad and anxious about everything. Like, I would almost throw up before my tests. I've always had test anxiety, but it kind of heightened a little bit when I got to school and was by myself. I had a lot of time to think about flaws and kind of things that I didn't like about myself, things that I wish I could change. A lot of people don't talk about that either, just how being in college, like, just kind of emotionally drains you. For me, it was kind of just putting on this, like, separate, like, lifestyle when I was around other people that I was friends with. Obviously, I didn't tell anybody how I really felt. This is kind of one of the first times I'm saying it out loud, but I think it's just because nobody talks about it. Like, really nobody says, I'm sad, I'm anxious, I want to go home. Just, I think part of it's because nobody thinks that others understand. And once I met people that were more like me, I actually started conveying my feelings more, because they actually understood where I was coming from. And I think that's a big thing, is finding people who empathize and sympathize with you. So being depressed and having anxiety and all of those things, just, they're not normal. Like, they happen a lot, and for a lot of reasons, especially in my school, since I could go to a Christian school, it's not really talked about. Mental health is not something that crosses a lot of people's minds. So just check on others, talk to others. I promise you that there's somebody else that's going through it. Some people just may not be willing to show it, if that makes sense. This one I haven't really said out loud a lot either. In March, when COVID started coming around and we were at home online by ourselves, I really started thinking more about where I wanted to be for college. When I toured my school, I absolutely fell in love with it. Like, it was everything that I was looking for. I felt like God was calling me there. But when COVID hit, it was just kind of heightened anxiety and all of those things. So I thought about transferring schools. A lot of people don't make it known that they're debating on transferring. They don't ask for help. They don't ask for anything else, because a lot of people are like me and they want to make decisions for themselves. The school that I was planning on transferring to was a bigger school. Definitely more of a party school. I think a big thing that made me think about going there was more of a social aspect and being able to do what I wanted whenever I wanted. It was something that took a lot of prayer, a lot of time thinking about, a lot of time just asking God, where the heck am I supposed to be right now? And I mean, eventually he kind of showed me, like, Alyssa, that's not where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be right where I've called you to be. And that was also a big pill to swallow, because, like, I kind of wanted to leave. Like, I didn't really have a lot of friends, and granted, I do have the ones that I do have now, but we weren't near as close as what we are right now. I still kind of felt like I was off to the side when everybody else was over here. So it's okay to not feel fully at home, especially when you haven't met your people. I would say, if you're thinking about transferring, talk about it with people, your family, people who go to school with you, your friends, just to kind of hear other people's opinions and their train of thought rather than just yours, because there could be things that you're voluntarily leaving out to help make your decision easier. There could be things that just haven't crossed your mind, and yeah, so talk about it. I assure you somebody's going to be there to talk to you, and pray about it. Just really pray about it if that's what you're thinking, because I thought in my heart that I wanted to leave schools. Well, when I started praying about it, God was like, no, you're not supposed to do that, you know? Just really pray about it. Pray about it for a long time, a hard time, like multiple times a day, and wait for God to tell you what He wants you to do. Don't just base everything off of your heart and your head. Wait for Him to tell you what He wants you to do. Believe it or not, people don't just change whenever they get into college. There are definitely a lot of people who still act as though they're in high school. A lot of the drama's the same, the boys are the same, and some of it's even worse because you have people who are trying to make themselves stand out, and really and truly it's just dragging on from high school. There are people who are still caught up in all the drama and all that, so when you get to college, just don't think that everything's just going to be whoa different, because a lot of it isn't. You have a lot of people who are fighting for attention and who will spread rumors to try to fit in. There are people who will exclude you just because you don't do the same things they do, or because they just think that it's funny. So that's another thing where finding your group of people comes into play. When you find your people, you're going to be kind of separated from all of the drama that's happening over here. So just don't expect everything to just change and people to become mature, because I promise you that's not the case. People are very immature in college. Not all of them. Not all of them. But a lot of them, and especially the new freshmen, can be less mature than what you anticipate. Another thing, FOMO is a real thing. My freshman year especially, and sometimes even still now, I have a really hard time saying no. Whether it's to going out, to going to eat, to going to get Starbucks, to going to watch a movie, like any of that stuff, I just have a really hard time saying no, because I want to fit in. I don't want to be left out in the future, and I just want to go with everybody else and go with the flow, even if I really don't want to. And there are a lot of things you have to kind of prioritize, and a lot of times you haven't learned how to do that yet. You have to put your homework, your schoolwork, your grades, your mental health, your spiritual life ahead of all the other things that you're invited to do. And I know it's really hard because, like me, I felt like if I said no, I would just stop getting invited to do things with my friends, and I was really worried about that because that's happened to me before. You just have to learn that when you find the right people, they're not just gonna forget about you because you say no one time. So remember just to kind of like hold yourself accountable, put your school and your mental health above everything else. Like if you really feel that uncomfortable going out when you know you should be studying for a test, then maybe you should say no. So I think that's all I have for this video. If you have any experiences or anything that you just want to talk to me personally about, my DMs are always open. Feel free to message me, comment on this video, anything, and I will help you, I promise. So yeah, see y'all in my next video. Bye.